German car industry didn't get destroyed because somebody else built a better car. Cars were never the problem. It was always decision making. Other companies made decisions in weeks, where these companies took years, and sometimes they never made those decisions at all. Now, I'm not a car industry insider. I've been working in different industries, different domains. Lately, I spent a lot of time in building in-car software and selling to these companies. From outside in, you can compare. You can compare the different industries, different domains, and you can compare these companies to each other. And the conclusion I arrived is that they all make the same mistakes. Not similar mistakes, the same mistakes. The reason is also clear. In Germany, people rotate through these companies. A platform lead in one might be the platform lead in a competition next week. The mistakes are the same because the same people. For those new here, I'm Juhani. This is my channel where I talk about my experiences and my opinion. I've been writing software for 35 years, software industry for 25, and running my own business for 15. I've seen many different domains. These are my opinions, and this is my take on how German car industry destroyed itself. Before we tear into them, let's get one thing straight. These companies were good, like genuinely good, not nostalgic way good. They were able to build a physical object, highly complex physical object that didn't break. The tolerances, the durability, all of those things. And these people had all of the processes in place to build the best ones in the world. And this is why it's interesting to talk about this. I mean, anybody can talk about a company that's badly run, failing. That's not interesting. These are companies that are failing because the same processes that made them good are now making them fail in software. And here's the first one. In these companies, not deciding doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like being careful. But it's not being careful. It's deciding to arrive late. A decision comes up. Everybody in the room knows exactly how it should be done. But instead of making a decision, they ask for more information. They trigger a committee, they trigger a work group to evaluate the situation. The work group asks for more information, more documents are being written. Eventually the work group comes with a decision or recommendation. But the market has already moved on. Something has changed, so the original evaluation is no longer valid. So what we do another one. And in the end, the decision is being delayed for years. And everybody's doing their job right. Everybody's being careful, everybody's being considerate. Nobody's ever been fired for asking for more data. So I've been in many meetings where the result of the meeting has been the timing of the next meeting. That's the whole mechanism. If you make a decision and it's a wrong one, your name is attached to a failure. If you don't make a decision and ask for more data, it's just doing your job. With products with production cycles of years, maybe 5 years, every decision a little bit late. What ends up happening? You're going to ship a car that is 3 years old. You did it a couple of times and you're a decade behind. You can't steer a 5-year production cycle with a quarterly review. Nobody's in charge of the real product. Everybody's working for the next quarter. They treat software as if it was a part. The whole process, purchasing process, is geared toward that. A piece of software needs to be built. The purchasing department sends a request for information to suppliers. Suppliers that have been included in the supplier pool based on don't know what. Smaller companies are usually ignored. Only big and reliable partners are accepted. The request for information usually contains specification for the software, which is weird because I've never seen software being specified in that early successfully. But yes, anyways. The supplier pool, this contains these massive organizations, companies, sit down and try to figure out how to build whatever is being asked to be built. They send an estimate in. The purchasing department looks at it, but only the last line on the spreadsheet. They actually ignore the rest. They compare these spreadsheets from other companies and see which line is the cheapest. They then enter into price negotiation with select pool of suppliers with cheap pricing. They twist the supplier, they try to get the price down. The supplier has to comply because they want to win the project. After all, they have 2,000 people sitting on bench they have to find projects for. This is a great place to find a project. It's going to be 5 years. Now, they just agreed. Now they pick a couple of suppliers with the cheapest price, with the cheapest team. And they agree to hand in their contract. At that point, the supplier tried to figure out who's going to build it, which of their team they can put into the project. At no point the client asks who's going to build it. They treat the software as part as if it can be validated afterwards. But it cannot be. The specification you gave to the suppliers to do the math, it's just a guess. Software is a guess until it's being built. What you've now done, you ensured a bunch of mediocre code that's going to be written. The problem with software is that it matters who writes it, who builds it. You need a few good software engineers to build good software, not a lot of mediocre ones. Software engineers do not stack. You can't increase the speed and quality of a project by adding more people into it. It's not like a factory where you add a night shift to get factory build more cars. Software works exactly the opposite way. The overhead of communication between software engineers and other parts of the software team grows quicker than the number of people you add. At some point, every engineer you add to the project to try to speed up, you actually slow down the whole project. Every team you add slows down the project. And now it's too late. The people who would have built good software for you are no longer available. And even if they were, they couldn't correct the course anymore. The process penalized the company that gave a realistic estimate. The first estimate for the request is just the price of entry. Dishonesty is rewarded, honesty isn't. The company that told you, you need these 20 people, it takes gonna like 2 years, but these people are quite expensive, it's gonna be dismissed. How can 20 people build anything? We need 2,000 people. This large company told us so. The company that also wants to sell you those 2,000 people, right? This is what I meant when I said the processes that made these companies great. So although the same process that is now making them fall and fail in software. And the thing is that nobody in the organization is really incompetent. They're doing their job right. They all want to get a promotion. How do you get a promotion in a large organization? By not fucking up. If you fuck up, you won't get a promotion. But if you never fuck up, you will eventually get one. Now turn it around. How do you never fuck up? By not trying anything. The organization rewards not trying. And in software engineering, not trying is a very good way to fail. Software isn't a part. Software is evolving while it's being built. You need to try things to figure out if it works. You need to be open to fail and try something else. When software fails in a good organization, something is being learned. You find a way how not to build the software. If you find enough ways how not to build software, eventually you will find a way how to build it. In an organization where structurally you are not able to try, you're going to put the first guess into the car. And then you get your customers returning the car because the software is unusable. Again, it's nobody's fault. Everybody's doing their job exactly how it's specified. That's the scary part. There's one very public example we can look at. Volkswagen. A few years ago, Volkswagen realized they need to become a software company to be able to supply software for their own cars, the largest car manufacturer in Europe. What they did, they created a software company. The CEO said, we are now agile software company. That sentiment was probably true, and the idea was probably right, but it didn't survive the transition. You created an entity and brought all the old supplier processes in with you. And even worse then, now CARIAD was a supplier for Volkswagen. They had to go through the same processes themselves. And there's not just one or two CARIAD employees I heard complain about the supplier processes that we always had to go through anyways. Now we see what happened. The headlines are everywhere. Production delays, software failures, people returning Volkswagen vehicles because the in-car software was bad. And it's not because CARIAD had bad people in it. It's because it could have never succeeded. And the admission came when Volkswagen decided we're going to buy software from Rivian. They created a joint venture, which I see like CARIAD 1.1, has no possibility of succeeding either. A Silicon Valley company takes a Silicon Valley approach. Volkswagen pays, Rivian builds software for their own cars and ships part of it downstream to Volkswagen. Volkswagen people don't know what they're going to get and when. They don't get to dictate the rules. Rivian does. And the receipts are very clear. Rivian is building new factories and Volkswagen is shutting down theirs. The largest car manufacturer in Europe has made them fully dependent on American startup with almost no control over it. Now, Rivian didn't make Volkswagen bad at software. The processes did. Now, the last one, and this is the hardest one to be fair about. The biggest disinformation about electric vehicles in Europe has not been the oil companies, it's been the car manufacturers. The market isn't ready, the customers don't want them, the range isn't there, the grid can't take it. And what they wanted to do is to build one more round of combustion vehicles. The combustion vehicle sold today is margin today. Investment to electric vehicle is margin later. Every director of these companies get paid by quarterly reviews. Their bonuses are tied to yearly reviews and yearly results. This wasn't a failure, they succeeded. In Germany, car companies wield a lot of political power and they used it to lobby against electric vehicles. What they've done, they killed their home market. The clients did arrive. They arrived a bit later, but now they walk into a German car maker showroom, the one they always been buying their cars from. And the only things they find is compromised vehicles. Vehicles with bad software, vehicles with shared platforms with ICE, hybrid vehicles. These companies couldn't make a decision. So they tried to hedge their bets. So they built combustion vehicles that are more expensive than they would be if they wouldn't have to share a platform with an EV. And they built EVs that are compromised. Can't be designed to the spec of an EV, can't use the strengths of an EV because they have to share a platform. So what is happening right now, the brand loyal clients of Germany are looking at Chinese car manufacturers because they are the ones that actually made a decision. Build the vehicle of the future, not the one they can make money from next quarter. That all said, we have to be fair. Turning a big ship around is very, very difficult. It's much easier to start from zero and start building something new. But some of them did. Some of the big car companies in Europe changed. They bet big on the future, they figure out how to build software, and they did both right. I want to leave you with the uncomfortable part. Nobody made a mistake. Every decision was rational. It was rational to ask for more information. It's rational to protect your career. It's rational to make one more combustion engine car. The problem is that nobody's responsible for creating a vehicle that your clients actually want. And that's my take on how German car industry destroyed itself.